Honorable Deputy Minister, our honored guests and speakers, our moderator for today, Professor Chris Landsberg. He wears many hats. He is the Saki Chair for African Policy. I don't know what the second part is. He's also the current director of the Pan-African Thought and Conversation, Pan-African Institute for Thought and Conversation. UJ Leadership, I see the Executive Director for Operations, Mr. Mpambani here. Our colleagues, friends, and of course, most importantly, students who've come from various universities, not just from the University of Johannesburg. Good morning. I see my friend looking at me in a very strange manner. Yes, this is not my normal voice. And in fact, I'm reminded of one of my favorite teachers who tells the story of a period he went through with his daughter as he sought to teach her how to pray. And so one evening, Dad says to little Maleboho, who he felt was coming along fairly well, with these prayers. He says, Lebo, please, will you say grace? And little Lebo proceeded to close her eyes, put her little hands together, and said just that one word, grace. And so today, my voice is so challenged. Please bear with me, that I'm actually feeling like maybe all I need to do is just say, welcome. But this is too much, too important an event to just give one word to. And so I shall try, and I will start off by telling you about Bonolo. Bonolo was born in Botswana. Like her name suggested, she was gentle, she was lovely, she was a daughter, she was a sister, she was a friend. She was a very happy young woman. And this fateful weekend, Bonolo decides to visit her family in Gaborone, her relations. That fateful night happened to be the night of June 15 going into 16, the night that the guns of Gaborone happened. In that explosion, the Pashles, one of the families that were well known here in South Africa and were in exile in Botswana, were killed. Bonolo died in that explosion. She was one amongst the many that were never really named. She was only 15. She was my childhood friend. And so there, youth arrested. Those killings would, of course, be followed by further killings in Mozambique, in Zimbabwe, as I recall. There was violence too in Swaziland and in Lesotho. It was certainly a period of rampant violence. Let us recall that this was pretty much a decade since the blood of youth in South Africa flowed down the streets here in Soweto on June 16, 1976. Let us see and recall in those bloody years that our collective fragilities, our vulnerabilities were most highlighted as respecting no geographical boundaries. That in fact, so many fell far away from home. Think about Tsietsi Mashinini, who died in Guinea-Conakry, amongst many others. There were leaders that had an ideal that they were pursuing, an ideal to get us to where we are and to much better places. Let us now reflect on how far we have come and perhaps ask the question, does violence merely beget more violence? What do we get out of violence? What resolution, if any, does violence ever proffer? Let us question, let us dialogue, but most of all, let us not be silent. Acclaimed Kenyan writer of the current generation, Yvonne Adhiambo Owo, in a novel that places the Kenyan 2008 post-election violence under the spotlight, but does so by also tracing all the violence back to the Mau Mau. She tells us that in Kenya, at independence, the country adopted 3 languages: English, Kiswahili, and silence. Here at the University of Johannesburg, we are clear that silence has no place in an institution of inquiry, that silence has no place in an institution of learning, in an institution that seeks to offer young leaders all the nurturing requisite. We're an institution that is alive to the connectedness of being, alive to the connectedness of our yesterdays and our tomorrows, of our local and national urgencies, and of their bearing on the post-border, on the global, as it were, where we seek to exert influence. And so the university continuously works to create these spaces of engagement and dialogue. Just recently, as you will hear, we launched the Youth Development Institute of South Africa, a partnership between ourselves and I believe the city of Johannesburg, anchored here at the University of Johannesburg. And as I suggested, in the room we do have Professor Landsberg, who's currently leading the Institute for Pan-African Thought and Conversation. Over time, these vehicles will evolve to flourish in their work. Remember, we are a young institution. We are in our 11th year now. And as we go along, we create new vehicles for further and better, perhaps more relevant engagement as is required of us. They will evolve, and the discussions that we are having here today would have offered the necessary grounding, the necessary building blocks for such growth and much requisite service. And so, esteemed guests, friends, ladies, gentlemen, it is an honor that we do have this. It is an honor for me to be standing in front of you and to have you all participating in this august engagement, 40 years post-June 16, 1976. It is a platform that seeks to, in particular, offer a cross-generational conversation, particularly around youth leadership. Remember the 1976 leaders. Much as they don't look that youthful now, they really were youths at the time. What lessons then can we learn from each other? That's what we are interested in. How much, by way of cross-issues understanding, can we glean and garner from one another? And so with our esteemed partners, the HSRC, and I have to also say, with the support of the office of the minister, they were very enthusiastic about working with us when we asked if they would join us in this venture. We felt that it was necessary that we mark this momentous occasion in an engaged way. This, in my view, promises to be a truly fruitful set of discussions. And so I welcome you to it. I do so right here at the UJ Soweto campus, where you're most welcome. And I do this on behalf of our Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Aaron Rensbeck, who unfortunately could not be here, he's away. I do this too on behalf of the Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Anjina Parek, and on behalf of Professor Marola, who would have liked to have been here. Professor Marola is the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Internationalization, and so he's my boss. And indeed, I welcome you on behalf of the whole UJ family. Today, you are part and parcel of that family. Please be at home. Thank you.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.